Hi, I'm Dr. Elizabeth Saunders Medlock from Life by Design Coaching. Today in our workshop, we're going to be focusing on making some primary lists for choosing a new career path. Many of the people that I'm working with right now are coming in different points of transition in their careers because of the economy. And a lot of people are changing careers completely and doing something completely different. So I'm going to give you some tips today based on a book, Nicholas Lohr's book, The Pathfinder, where he highlights that one of the first steps in designing a new career for yourself is to create these 3 primary lists. And it's a wonderful exercise that I have many of my clients do as a first step into deciding what career path that you want to go down. The 3 lists, and I'll go over them quickly and then in more detail, are a wants list, and that's a list of what is everything that I want and desire and dream for in a career. And then a commitments and requirements list, which is anything that you require that the job have and what you'd be willing to commit to in a job or a career. And then the last thing is a questions list, and that's every question that you have to answer to choose your future career path. So the first one we're going to talk about is creating your wants list. And this is something for you to ask yourself and think very openly and very broadly about this, without constraints. What do you really want and desire and dream of or wish for in a career? So I always ask people, if you had to create the perfect job and the perfect career for yourself, what would that look like? And after you make that list of what that career would look like, prioritize those things and say, okay, of this list that I've made, this is the number 1 thing that I really want and desire. This is the number 2 thing. And then cross off those things on your list that you're probably not going to get because they may not be out there or they may not be as realistic. So you come up with a nice prioritized list of all those things that you dream of and wish for and want in a career. That's your wants list. The second list that you're going to make is a commitments and a requirements list. And those are going to be answering the question, what are you going to commit to as part of your future career? What are the job requirements that you're willing to work under? What compromises am I willing to make? And what am I willing to put at stake to move down a new career path? From this list of your commitments and requirements, you're going to make a pre-existing requirement, and these are the things that are non-negotiable. For example, if you don't want to travel in your job, that's a pre-existing requirement. You don't want to travel. If you don't want to move and you want to stay in your location, a pre-existing requirement is it has to be in the place where I currently live. If you don't want to manage a staff of 10 people, then a pre-existing requirement for you would be, I don't want to manage other people. That's the non-negotiable list. All those things would be deal breakers in a new career. And then you have another list that's called your created commitments. And that is, what are the things that I would be willing to have part of my work that I would commit to? For example, I'd be willing to travel 1 day a week. I would be willing to manage a staff of 3. I would be willing to be on the road 50% of the time. I would be willing to work out of my home instead of in an office. So these are all the things that you'd be willing to commit to in a new career. Not deal breakers, but things that if you really thought about it, you can handle doing and you would want to do. The last list that you're going to make for yourself is a questions list. So once you have all your wants and desires and your commitments and your requirements list, you have to go back and say, what are all the questions that I need to have answered in order to choose my future career path? So make a list of everything that you need to resolve. And it can be things like, do I need more education and training to do that? Is there a market for this in my area? Are there employers that are hiring for this type of position in my area? Is this a business that I can create for myself? And if so, how do I do that? And what's my competition? So write down all those big questions that you have to have answered, and then develop a timeline and a priorities for when do I have to answer these and what are the most important questions that I need to have answered before I move forward with my decision-making process. Here's a sample questions that you may have for yourself. Am I willing to work outdoors? If so, how much? Am I willing to work in a cubicle kind of environment, or do I need my own office space? Am I willing to put in hours at home and how much, or work fully from home? What about the size of the organization? Do I really want to work for a small organization, or do I want to be part of a large organization? Do I want to work in the private sector, or do I want to work in the public sector? What is the pace of the work? Am I going to be someone that has to do things quickly and on a very fast timeline? How self-directed is the work going to be? Am I going to have 5 people telling me what to do, or am I going to be given some broad parameters and be able to kind of create my own path in my work? How much predictability and routine is there? For some people, it's very important to have predictability and routine. What kind of decisions am I going to have to make on my job from day to day? And how rewarding is it and challenging is it for me? So these are the type of questions that you may want to ask yourself and have answered in order to choose a new career. So the 3 lists you need to make based on Nicholas Lohr's book, The Pathfinder, which I do recommend highly, are a wants list, a commitments and requirements list, and lastly, a questions list. And once you make those 3 lists and you answer your questions, you'll be ready to make decisions about choosing a new career. I hope you enjoyed this workshop today on primary lists to choose a new career. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Saunders Medlock from Life by Design Coaching. For more information, you can go to www.lifebydesigncoaching.org. Thanks so much.